Well, the crisis facing this country and the world tonight is the complete collapse of mental acuity in the President of the United States, the current president. This weekend, the President of the United States endorsed a social media post that says there is no Joe Biden, executed in 2020. Biden clones, doubles, and robotic engineered, soulless, mindless entities are what you see. Needless to say, Donald Trump is the only president in history who can publicly embrace and accept and believe such insanity without immediately provoking a rush of questions by the White House press corps and news organizations around the world about the sanity of the American president, which means that the insanity of the current American president is now officially taken for granted in the news media. No huge banners on the cable news network that recently devoted itself to the issue of presidential mental acuity. The overwhelming majority of the American news media has absolutely no problem now with Donald Trump saying there is no Joe Biden executed in 2020. Donald Trump didn't actually write those words himself, but he found those words in his poison social media feed, and he decided to fully endorse and embrace those words. The New York Times remains one of the news organizations that finds that kind of behavior in a president strange, though not worthy of big front page headlines. And so the New York Times ran a story titled, "Trump Amplifies Another Outlandish Conspiracy Theory, Biden is a Robotic Clone." And here is the most important line in that story. The White House did not respond to requests for comment on the post about Mr. Biden. That, of course, would be impossible for any other White House if the president amplified, quote, another outlandish conspiracy theory. If any other president said that a previous living president is a robotic clone, that White House would not be able to simply refuse to comment. But that is how fully Donald Trump has crushed political reporting and political coverage in this country. And because he has crushed it, he can, in publicity terms anyway, get away with anything, and he knows it. Donald Trump is behaving like someone who believes he can get away with anything. If you want to rush to Donald Trump's defense, you are going to have to guess at a defense. You're going to have to make up a defense that Donald Trump himself has not offered. You have every right to believe, as a result of that single post alone, that Donald Trump is completely deranged and has no idea what day it is or what country he lives in. That is as defensible a reaction to Donald Trump's post as the notion that it's a joke. Neither one of those reactions can be proved. But what is undeniable by anyone anywhere, the still breathtaking stupidity of Donald Trump to find that post in the poisonous flow of his social media and decide that that's the one he wants to push that day. That is a man whose stupidity knows no bounds. That is the man whose stupidity never bumps into decency, which would then prevent him from doing the indecent, the stupid. In fact, Donald Trump can be counted on tomorrow to be stupidly indecent about something. And Joe Biden never appointed anyone to anything as incompetent and reckless and cruel as Elon Musk, who bid his farewell to his formal engagement of service with the Trump administration on Friday in the Oval Office, where his physical behavior gave many indications of possibly confirming the headline that emerged in the New York Times that very day. On the campaign trail, Elon Musk juggled drugs and family drama. We await an explanation of Elon Musk's physicality, including his inexplicable gazes at the ceiling and head twisting at the ceiling in the Oval Office. The Fox White House reporter, who appeared to be the master of ceremonies of the press corps in the Oval Office on Friday because he was allowed to ask many more questions than anyone else, seems to be on his way to ask about the New York Times breaking news about Elon Musk's drug use.
There is a New York Times report today that accuses you of blurring the line between...
Is the New York Times, is that the same publication?
Notice that the Fox reporter immediately stopped when Elon Musk ordered him to stop and wait. Elon Musk then went into a lying soliloquy about the New York Times, ending with a direct order to the Fox reporter to, quote, these were his words, move on. And the Fox reporter did exactly what Rupert Murdoch is paying him to do in that situation. He moved on when ordered to move on by anyone in Trump world. That is the same Fox reporter who gleefully joined in the screaming at Joe Biden or his press secretary in the Biden White House. Every reporter working in the Biden White House knew they could scream at Joe Biden or scream at the White House press secretary and not be kicked out of the Biden White House permanently or ever. And like children who know they won't get in trouble if they do it, they did it. They screamed at Joe Biden and his press secretary. And like children who know they will get in trouble if they do it, they don't dare do it now because Donald Trump has crushed all of that. And so Donald Trump and Elon Musk got away with another lying session without any serious challenge from a single White House reporter, not one of whom asked Elon Musk how it felt to kill children. Not one of those White House reporters covering Elon Musk's farewell from government service asked him to reply to Bill Gates' description of Elon Musk as the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children. That is Elon Musk's singular achievement in government, because Elon Musk decided to destroy the United States Agency for International Development, the agency that was feeding more starving children in the world than any other agency. More starving children in the world depended on surplus food from the United States to survive. Food we do not need and cannot consume. Food we have overproduced in this country. And Elon Musk decided to take that food away from them and let them die. And that is not news to the White House press corps. No one is counting because Elon Musk fired the people who were counting. Collecting statistics in advanced economies is relatively easy, with advanced methods relatively accurate, but in many parts of the world, the most impoverished parts of the world, statistics can be hard to come by. Not every baby gets a birth certificate. Not every baby gets a death certificate. The people who would be counting how many people Elon Musk killed by killing USAID were the very people who Elon Musk fired from USAID. So Elon Musk commits the greatest crime of the 21st century against the poverty population of the world and fires everyone who would be able to quantify for us the enormity of the crime. The New York Times reports, quote, Mr. Musk's drug consumption went well beyond occasional use. He told people he was taking so much ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, that it was affecting his bladder, a known effect of chronic use. He took ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms. And he traveled with a daily medication box that held about 20 pills, including ones with the markings of the stimulant Adderall, according to a photo of the box and people who have seen it. He had a whole box full of drugs that he could have been using when he was taking life-saving drugs away from children. The New York Times account is about the drugs Elon Musk was taking during the presidential campaign. NBC News has not independently confirmed the New York Times reporting. Elon Musk has not actually denied a single word of the New York Times reporting. The New York Times says, quote, we provided Musk with multiple opportunities to reply or rebut this reporting before publication, and he declined. The New York Times reporting suggests that Elon Musk took flight on a campaign stage with Donald Trump the first time he was up there because he was possibly on ketamine or ecstasy or Adderall or psychedelic mushrooms or all of the above at the same time. The Times obtained a text message before Elon Musk joined the Trump campaign, in which Elon Musk complained about the investigations of his businesses that the federal government was doing at the time The Biden administration views me as the #2 threat after Trump. I can't be president, but I can help Trump defeat Biden, and I will, he added. And the rest is tragic history. The richest person in the world poured money into a presidential campaign, more money than anyone else in the history of political contributions. And he did it to end the investigations that the federal government was aiming at his business activities. And of course, Donald Trump ended those investigations because you get what you pay for with Donald Trump, especially if you're the richest person in the world. The worldwide cruelty campaign launched by Elon Musk and Donald Trump now includes deporting people who have never committed a crime to countries where they have never lived and do not speak the language. Elon Musk seems to believe that cruelty is the antidote to empathy, which he considers a great human weakness. Elon Musk told the comedian Joe Rogan, quote, "The fundamental weakness of Western civilization is empathy." Abraham Lincoln did not know that. Abraham Lincoln believed he should govern with empathy. So did Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So did most presidents, some better than others. It was empathy coupled with geopolitical and public health wisdom that led President George W. Bush to create the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which saved 26 million lives in Africa alone before Elon Musk decided those lives were not worth saving.
Has anyone in the world died because of what Elon Musk did?
Listen.
Yes or no, reclaiming my time. If you won't answer, that's a loud answer.
No one has died because of USAID.
The people who have died as a result of cutting off the oxygen of a woman in Burma and denying HIV/AIDS treatment to those in Africa. They are dead now at the hands of Elon Musk and his co-conspirators.
This is why I'm introducing the Rubio Act. So you focus on the one job that the Senate gave you to serve as our Secretary of State because you are clearly distracted, okay? After the last few months, I understand why President Trump has such colorful nicknames for you. You're obedient. You're following the rules. You will do anything the president tells you to do without regard for the law, the Constitution, America's security, or standing as a leader in the world. Unlike you, I do not fear crossing Donald Trump. I refuse to give up on these children.
Marco Rubio did not tell the truth to the committee, and the proof that he was not telling the truth is that he has changed his story after that testimony. The Washington Post fact-checked Marco Rubio's testimony, saying, "There is no dispute that people have died because the Trump administration abruptly suspended foreign aid. One might quibble over whether tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands have died." In his testimony, Secretary of State Rubio tried to contradict reporting from Africa from the New York Times' Nicholas Kristof. Nicholas Kristof responded to Rubio's testimony, writing in the New York Times, "Let me help Rubio with the truth. Meet Evan Anzu, a 5-year-old boy who was born with HIV in South Sudan. I mentioned Evan in a column in March from South Sudan. This was a child as precious as yours or mine. Evan's life was in our hands, and for 5 years, America kept him alive with antiretroviral medicines costing less than 12 cents a day through the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, or PEPFAR. This was a program started by President George W. Bush and has saved more than 26 million lives so far, and it turned the tide of AIDS around the world and built enormous goodwill toward the United States. Then along came President Trump and his freeze on most humanitarian aid in January. How could a 5-year-old orphan possibly obtain medicine on his own? Evan weakened and soon died of an opportunistic infection. Marco Rubio told the House committee, "No children are dying on my watch." Evan died on his watch. Evans of all ages are dying on Marco Rubio's watch, and no one is counting. And so we don't know, as of tonight, whether it's tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of Evans, but we know it will be. In a New York Times column titled, quote, "Elon Musk's Legacy is Disease, Starvation, and Death," Michelle Goldberg reports, Brooke Nichols, an associate professor of global health at Boston University, has estimated that these cuts have already resulted in about 100,000 deaths, most of them of children, and will most likely lead to significantly more by the end of the year. This is what Musk's foray into politics accomplished. If there were justice in the world, Musk would never be able to repair his reputation, at least not without devoting the bulk of his fortune to easing the misery he's engendered. Musk's sojourn in government has revealed severe flaws in his character, a blithe, dehumanizing cruelty, and a deadly incuriosity. Bill Gates has seen starving children in Africa many, many times and has devoted his life and his billions to trying to save them, which makes Bill Gates' verdict on the current richest person in the world so important and powerful. Bill Gates, the former richest person in the world, said, "The picture of the world's richest man killing the world's poorest children is not a pretty one. And the picture of the richest person in the world carrying around his drug box of ecstasy, Adderall, psychedelic mushrooms, and then taking life-saving drugs away from the poorest people in the world is a picture only Donald Trump could have created." And with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, soulless, mindless entities are what you see. We'll be right back.